Throwaway account because I don't really want this tied back to me. My name's Daniel, I'm 34, and I've been married to my wife, Melissa, for 6 years. We've been together for almost a decade in total. We don't have kids, though she's been pushing the idea off and on over the last couple of years. I work in IT, nothing glamorous, but steady, and she works in marketing for a mid-sized firm. Our relationship always had its ups and downs, like any marriage, but I thought we had a solid foundation. At least I thought I did. Melissa has always been, let's just say, fiery. She can be sharp with her words when she's stressed, sometimes downright bitchy if I'm honest, but I chalked it up to her personality. She's ambitious, outspoken, and doesn't like being questioned. I guess I always thought that was part of her charm, even if it stung sometimes. Looking back, I realized the signs were there. Subtle at first, her being glued to her phone more often, quick to turn the screen away when I walked by, staying late at work when she never used to. I remember thinking, okay, she's just stressed, maybe she's got more on her plate. I didn't want to seem like the jealous, controlling husband, so I ignored it. But in hindsight, that was the beginning of something I should have paid closer attention to. It started small, the kind of stuff you almost gaslight yourself into ignoring. Melissa suddenly got really protective of her phone. She used to leave it charging in the kitchen overnight, but one night I noticed she brought it to bed and kept it face down on the nightstand. If it buzzed, she'd immediately grab it like it was a grenade about to go off. She also started dressing differently. Don't get me wrong, Melissa has always cared about her appearance, but she went from casual work outfits to suddenly buying these new dresses, wearing more makeup, and hitting the gym more consistently than I'd ever seen. When I asked her about it, she rolled her eyes and said, God, Dan, can't a woman take care of herself without you making it about you? That stung because I really wanted to believe her. But then there were other things, working late more frequently, claiming she was swamped with endless client meetings, when before she complained about how slow her office was. And one time, when she said she was out with coworkers, I checked her Instagram later, nothing posted, no tags from anyone else who was supposedly there. I tried to convince myself she was just stressed and trying new things to feel better. But deep down, I had this gnawing feeling in my gut that something wasn't right. The moment things shifted from suspicion to full-on alarm bells was a random Tuesday night. Melissa said she had to stay late again, something about a client dinner. She left the house around 6:30 in this new black dress I'd never seen before, hair and makeup done like she was going to a cocktail party, not a work dinner. Around 9 p.m., I realized she'd left her work laptop at home. She never does that if she's actually going to work-related stuff. Curiosity got the better of me, and I booted it up. I didn't go digging through her files, but the browser history was enough. There were searches for romantic restaurants downtown, sexy outfits to drive him crazy, and even a Google Maps lookup for a hotel not far from the supposed restaurant. My chest felt like it was going to cave in. I told myself maybe she was planning something for us, wishful thinking, I know. But then I noticed she'd left her iPad on the couch to sync to her messages. That's when I saw it. A string of texts from someone saved under Vanessa from work. Except Vanessa was apparently saying things like, I can't wait to see you tonight, and last time was amazing. And Melissa? She replied with a heart emoji and, I'll sneak away as soon as I can, babe. My stomach dropped. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the iPad. It was like the floor under me gave out completely. I couldn't sit there and stew. My heart was hammering, my hands were shaking, and every second felt like I was choking on the betrayal. So I grabbed my keys and drove downtown to the restaurant she'd mentioned in her texts. Sure enough, her car was parked 2 blocks away, not in the lot, not even on the street near the restaurant, but tucked around the corner like she didn't want to be seen. I felt my blood run cold. I walked inside the restaurant first, trying to spot her, but nothing. Then I remembered the hotel from her search history. I went 2 streets over and there it was. I felt like I was going to vomit. My wife, the woman I thought I knew better than anyone, walking into a hotel lobby with some guy I'd never seen before. He was tall, cocky-looking, his hand on the small of her back like he owned her. I froze. My instinct was to charge over there, but instead I waited. 15 minutes later, they came back down the elevator, laughing, Melissa fixing her hair, this guy holding her hand. That was it. I snapped. I stormed up and said, "Melissa, what the hell is this?" Her face drained of color, then instantly twisted into annoyance instead of guilt. She actually rolled her eyes and said, "Dan, what are you doing here? You're embarrassing yourself." Embarrassing myself? That's what she said. I told her I saw the texts, saw them together, and she started firing off lies so fast it was dizzying. He's just a friend, it's not what it looks like, you're overreacting, I was just helping him with something for work." Meanwhile, the guy just smirked like he was enjoying the whole show. That was the moment I realized not only was she cheating, she didn't even respect me enough to own up to it. The walk back to my car was the longest 10 minutes of my life. Melissa trailed behind me, hissing under her breath the whole time, "You're overreacting. Why are you stalking me? You're making this into something it isn't." Every excuse, every deflection, anything but admitting what I just witnessed with my own two eyes. When we got home, the real fireworks started. I laid the iPad on the kitchen counter and pulled up the messages. "I explained this," I said. She didn't even flinch. Instead, she crossed her arms and sneered, "You went through my stuff? Do you know how creepy that is? You're the one with issues, Dan." I couldn't believe it. She was caught red-handed and still twisting it back on me. I felt like I was losing my mind, like reality was bending around her lies. I told her I saw her with him, I knew what was happening, and she finally snapped, "Fine. You want the truth? Yeah, I've been seeing him. Because he actually listens to me, he makes me feel alive, and he's not some boring IT guy who spends his nights playing video games." Hearing that out loud shattered something inside me. My wife, my partner, my supposed best friend, looked me dead in the eye and basically said I wasn't enough. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat on the couch in the dark, replaying her words over and over again, wondering how long she'd been living this double life while smiling in my face. That night was hell. I sat there on the couch with the lights off, staring at nothing, feeling like my entire chest was collapsing inward. I couldn't even cry at first. It was just numbness, this hollow pit where my marriage used to live. Around 3 a.m., the tears finally came. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I cried like a kid. I thought about our wedding day, the vacations, the late-night talks when I believed we were a team. All of it suddenly felt like a sick joke. Melissa came downstairs once, around 4 a.m., saw me sitting there, and instead of apologizing or showing a shred of remorse, she sighed dramatically and said, "Are you seriously still moping? This isn't the end of the world, Dan. People cheat, it happens. You don't have to act like I killed someone." That line cut deeper than any admission could have. It wasn't just that she cheated, it was how casually she dismissed it. Like my pain was some inconvenience to her. The next morning, I dragged myself to work in a fog. I kept zoning out at my desk, barely able to answer emails. My coworkers noticed, but I brushed it off. Inside, though, I was spiraling. Every ding of my phone made my heart jump, terrified it was another blow. And yet, despite everything, a part of me still hoped she'd wake up and realize what she'd done. I clung to that tiny hope, even as her words echoed in my skull, "People cheat, it happens." The days after the confrontation were like living in a warped reality show. Melissa doubled down on the lies, twisting every conversation into something that somehow made me the villain. If I asked her where she was going, she'd snap, "Oh, so now I have to check in with my parole officer? Get over yourself." When I brought up the texts again, she'd roll her eyes and say, "You're obsessed, Dan. It's pathetic. You're imagining half of this." One night, I found her phone left on the counter while she was showering. I didn't even go through it, I just saw the notification pop up. It was from Vanessa again, but the preview read, "I can't wait to taste you again." My stomach flipped, but when I showed it to her, she actually laughed and said, "Oh my God, you're so gullible. That's an inside joke. You really think I'd be that obvious?" She had this way of delivering her lies with such confidence that for half a second I'd question myself. That's the worst part. I started wondering if I was overreacting, if maybe I was too insecure, if maybe, just maybe, I'd made it all worse than it was. But then the memories of seeing her with him at the hotel came rushing back, and I knew I wasn't crazy. I knew. She was just trying to break me down until I doubted my own eyes. Living in that atmosphere was exhausting. Every conversation was an argument, every silence was loaded, and every look from her carried this simmering contempt. I wasn't just betrayed, I was being psychologically shredded in my own home. The breaking point came one Saturday morning. Melissa waltzed into the kitchen dressed like she was going clubbing, tight dress, heels, full face of makeup, at 10 a.m. I asked cautiously, "Where are you going?" She didn't even look up from her phone. "Brunch with Vanessa," she said flatly. Something in me snapped. Cut the crap, Melissa. I know there is no Vanessa. I saw you with him. I've seen the texts. You can stop lying. She slammed her coffee cup down so hard it cracked the handle. Then she turned to me with this sneer I'll never forget and said, "God, you're pathetic. Do you know how unattractive it is watching you play detective? If you were half as interesting as him, I wouldn't have needed to go anywhere else." That was it. The words hung in the air like poison. All the late nights, the lies, the gaslighting, it all crystallized into that single moment of contempt. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just felt this strange, cold calm settle over me. For the first time, I realized there was no saving this marriage. No amount of begging, reasoning, or waiting would change her. She wasn't sorry. She didn't care. That was the exact moment I decided I was done. After that morning, I knew I had to get out. The idea of staying in that house, in that toxic mess, felt like suffocating slowly. But I also knew Melissa wasn't the type to just let me leave without a fight or without trying to bleed me dry. So I started quietly making a plan. I opened a new bank account and rerouted part of my paycheck there. I reached out to a lawyer recommended by a buddy at work and scheduled a consultation. I even started looking at apartments, just in case I needed a place fast. Every night, while she was glued to her phone or pretending to work late, I'd be in the other room, gathering documents, scanning copies of our financial records, and making sure I had everything I needed. It felt sneaky, but after months of her lies, I didn't feel guilty, I felt smart. The hardest part was acting normal around her. When she'd bark at me about not taking out the trash fast enough or mock me for always moping, I had to bite my tongue. I kept telling myself, just hold on. Play it cool. Get your ducks in a row. Ironically, the calmer I acted, the bitchier she got. Almost like she could sense I wasn't under her thumb anymore. And in a way, she was right. The control was slipping. I was building my escape one quiet step at a time. Just when I thought I could coast under the radar until my plan was solid, Melissa threw a grenade into everything. One night, she came home way later than usual, reeking of cologne that definitely wasn't hers. I didn't say a word, I just noted the time, noted the smell, and went back to my laptop. She must have noticed my lack of reaction, because she suddenly snapped, "What's with the attitude, Dan? You think you're better than me now?" I stayed calm and said, "I don't have an attitude. I just don't care anymore." That set her off like fireworks. She started screaming about how ungrateful I was, how she has sacrificed so much being with a boring guy like me, how I should be lucky someone like her even married me. The words were like knives, each one sharper than the last. Then she dropped the bomb, "If you want to leave so bad, fine. But don't think you're taking a damn thing with you. I'll make sure of it." That was the moment I realized she knew. She must have sensed I was pulling away, maybe even suspected I was planning something. Her voice was dripping with venom, but underneath it I heard fear of losing her grip on me. Instead of yelling back, I just nodded and said, "We'll see." And for the first time she looked rattled. After that blow-up, I knew I couldn't do this alone anymore. I reached out to my best friend, Mark, someone I'd been avoiding telling because, honestly, I was embarrassed. Who wants to admit their wife is cheating and treating them like dirt? But when I finally spilled everything, the texts, the hotel, the gaslighting, the screaming, Mark just sat there, shaking his head. Then he said, "Dan, you don't deserve this. You need to get out before she drags you down even further." Hearing someone else confirm what I already knew gave me strength I didn't realize I had. Mark even offered me his spare room if I needed to crash somewhere while I figured things out. I also set up another meeting with the lawyer, this time with all the documents I'd gathered. He walked me through what divorce would look like, what I could expect financially, and how to protect myself if Melissa decided to go nuclear, which, knowing her, she probably would. It was scary, yeah. But it was also the first time in weeks I felt like I wasn't drowning. I had allies. I had options. I wasn't trapped in Melissa's web of lies and manipulation anymore. That night, I went home and looked at her across the dinner table while she laughed at something on her phone, probably texting him. And for the first time, instead of feeling crushed, I felt detached. Like I was already halfway out the door. Though final straw came faster than I expected. One Friday evening, Melissa announced she was going out for a girls' night. By now, I didn't even bother questioning it. I just nodded and kept scrolling on my phone. But around midnight, my phone buzzed with a message from Mark. Dude, you need to see this. I'm at O'Malley's with some coworkers. Melissa's here. And she's not with any girls. My heart sank, but at the same time, I wasn't surprised. Mark sent me a photo, grainy but clear enough. There was Melissa, sitting on some guy's lap at the bar, kissing him like they were the only two people in the world. Something inside me clicked. No more doubt. No more second chances. No more listening to her venom or lies. This was it. I didn't wait for her to come home. I packed a duffel bag with essentials, grabbed the folder with all my documents, and drove straight to Mark's place. For the first time in months, I felt a weird sense of relief. Scared, yeah, but also lighter, like a huge weight had been lifted off my chest. When Melissa stumbled in at 3 a.m. to an empty house, she had no idea her little kingdom had already crumbled. The next morning, I texted Melissa a simple message: I'm staying at Mark's. I've spoken to a lawyer. We're done. Within 5 minutes, my phone blew up with a barrage of texts and calls. First came the fake sweetness. Babe, please, let's talk about this. Don't make a rash decision. Then the guilt trips. After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me? And finally the venom: you'll regret this. Nobody else will ever want you. I didn't answer a single one. The silence drove her crazy. 2 days later, I met her at the lawyer's office to go over the separation papers. She showed up in full performance mode, tears, trembling voice, acting like I was abandoning her for no reason. But the lawyer had seen it all before. Every time she tried to spin the narrative, he calmly pulled out the evidence I'd given him: the texts, the photos, the financial records showing suspicious charges. Watching her face when she realized the lies wouldn't work anymore was, honestly, it was satisfying. For once, she was the one cornered, not me. We left that office barely speaking. And it hit me, I wasn't scared of her anymore. The weeks after moving out were a strange mix of grief and freedom. Some nights I'd lie awake at Mark's place, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything in my head: her laugh, her excuses, her venom. It hurt like hell, but at least now the pain had a purpose. It wasn't endless limbo anymore. It was the process of cutting ties. I threw myself into rebuilding. I focused on work, went to the gym more, even reconnected with old friends I'd drifted from during the marriage. Every step I took away from Melissa felt like reclaiming a piece of myself I hadn't realized I'd lost. Of course, she didn't let go easily. She'd text me random things like, "Hope you're happy destroying us, or you'll never find someone like me." Honestly, those messages just reminded me I'd made the right choice. Why would I ever want someone like her again? Slowly, the anger started to fade. It didn't disappear, but it dulled into something manageable. And beneath it, I started to feel lighter. For the first time in years, I wasn't walking on eggshells. I wasn't bracing for the next lie, the next jab, the next betrayal. I could breathe again. It's been a few months since the separation, and looking back, I can finally see things clearly. Melissa didn't just cheat on me, she broke every shred of trust and respect that makes a marriage worth fighting for. The lies, the gaslighting, the contempt, those cut deeper than the affair itself. I used to beat myself up, wondering what I did wrong, if maybe I wasn't enough. But the truth is, her choices are on her. I wasn't perfect, sure, but I was loyal, supportive, and committed. She threw all that away, not me. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this: don't ignore your gut. Those little red flags you try to explain away? They mean something. And if someone constantly makes you doubt your own reality, that's not love, it's manipulation. To anyone reading this who might be in a similar spot, you're not crazy, you're not weak, and you don't deserve to live in constant suspicion or disrespect. Get your evidence, make your plan, and protect yourself. Walking away might hurt like hell, but staying will kill you slowly. I'm not saying I'm healed, not yet. But I'm free. And that, more than anything, is worth it.